Welcome to episode 16.2, Proper Reducing of Per Diem. In this episode, you will learn the historical background of per diems. By the end of this episode, you will learn the historical background of per diem allowances for executive branch travel, including key laws, congressional intent regarding payment of per diem, example circumstances when the predetermined rate might be too high. The following symbols draw your attention to a particular point or topic. The red circle and exclamation point denotes a very important point. The yellow caution triangle denotes a safety note warning that failure to heed the point will likely cause significant issues. The blue exclamation point and banner denotes a best practice. And the blue binoculars denote a case study used to further explain or provide an example. Since 1926, agencies have been authorized to pay employees a per diem allowance, rather than reimbursing actual expenses, when those employees are traveling on government business. See the Subsistence Expense Act of 1926, 44 Stat. 688, 1926. Congress established the per diem rates as maximums, allowing agencies to set lower amounts in appropriate circumstances. This authorization to agencies was necessary because the rates, which were established on nationwide and worldwide bases, were intended for travel to be performed in metropolitan areas or other places where the cost of living is high. CS Rep. No. 81-428, reprinted into U.S. Code Congressional Service 1337, 1949. Agencies were expected to exercise diligent control to set appropriate rates for areas in which costs were lower than the predetermined rate set by Congress. At 1338, Congress made it clear that when agencies did set rates for particular trips at less than the predetermined maximum allowed, they had to follow the standard that federal employees should be protected against being required to pay out of their own pockets the necessary expenses incident to their official travel for the government. CHR Rep. No. 84-604, reprinted into USCCAN 2547, 1955. Further, the Comptroller General held that agencies could not limit subsistence allowances for traveling employees solely to reduce administrative costs. See David K. Leonard, GSBCA 14.334 Trav, 98-2 BCA 29 and 882, citing Frank C. Sanders, 64 Comp. General 825, 1985. Nevertheless, under this early system, an agency's decision whether to reduce an employee's subsistence allowance and by how much was largely arbitrary. In the Federal Civilian Employee and Contractor Travel Expenses Act of 1985, enacted in 1986, Congress made two significant changes to the law regarding per diem rates for government employees traveling on official business. These two changes remain in effect today. First, Congress relinquished responsibility for setting the rates to the Administrator of General Services, for travel within the continental United States, and the President or his designee, for travel outside that area. The Secretary of State is the President's designee for foreign areas, while the Secretary of Defense is the designee for non-foreign areas. Second, standard rates are to be established by locality, rather than on nationwide and worldwide bases. See Pub. L. No. 99-234 and 102, 99 Stat. 1756, 1756, 1986, 5U. SC 5702A, 1A, A, 2, 1994. By moving to a system of administratively established, locality-based per diem allowances, Congress largely eliminated agencies' need to discern whether or by how much they should reduce a traveling employee's subsistence allowance. Having a predetermined, standard rate set for each particular locality removes the arbitrariness of agencies deciding how much to reduce the maximum rate by for that locality. Additionally, because the locality rates are to represent currently prevailing average costs, as determined by expert surveys, and more accurately reflect the true cost of away-from-home duty, the need for agency reductions was further reduced. See 131 Kong. Reg. 38,346, 38,347, 1985, Remarks of Reps. Collins, House Floor Manager, Brooks, Principal Sponsor of Bill. Members of Congress reiterated the need to ensure that in applying the law, agencies not force employees to subsidize the cost of official government travel. At 38,346-47, 38,492, Remarks of Sen. Stevens, Senate Floor Manager, Reps. Wolf, McCandless. Nevertheless, The regulations issued under the 1986 statute recognize that in specific circumstances, the predetermined standard rate for a given location might be inappropriately high. The regulations included these examples of such circumstances. Known arrangements or established cost experience at temporary duty locations showing that lodging and/or meals can be obtained without cost or at reduced cost to the employee. Situations in which special rates for accommodations have been made available for a particular meeting, conference, training, or other temporary duty assignment. Travelers' familiarity with establishments providing lodging and meals at a lower cost in certain localities, particularly where repetitive travel or extended stays are involved. Modes of transportation where accommodations are provided as part of the transportation cost. Situations in which the government furnishes lodging, such as government quarters or other lodging procured for the employee by means of an agency purchase order. C-51 Fed. Reg. 19660, 19662, May 30, 1986. These examples remained in the FTR until 1998, when they were removed, without explanation, during a thorough revision of the regulation. C-41 CFR 301-7.2b, 1997, 63 Fed. Reg. 15949, April 1, 1998. Notwithstanding their removal, the examples remained and continue to remain consistent with the FTR's provision on authorizing the reduction of subsistence allowance. Today the Civilian Board of Contract Appeals still considers the examples to be appropriate circumstances in which to limit the standard per diem rate. For example, the CBCA has ruled that agencies acted reasonably in reducing per diem rates to 55% of standard for employees authorized to rent quarters on a monthly basis and to prepare their own meals while on lengthy TDY assignments. See Timothy P. Twigg, GSBCA 14379 Trav, 98-1 BCA 29 and 522, 1997, Sally Ann Willett, GSBCA 14033 Trav, 97-2 BCA 29 and 144. Choose two responses. What were the two significant changes to the law made by the Federal Civilian Employee and Contractor Travel Expenses Act of 1985 that are still in effect today? A. Congress determined employees shall not underwrite the cost of the government's business. B. Standard per diem rates are to be established by locality, rather than on nationwide and worldwide basis. C. Executive branch travel budgets will not be augmented by employees. D. Congress relinquished responsibility for setting the rates to the Administrator of General Services, for travel within the continental United States, and to the President or his designee, for travel outside that area. Pause the video, consider your response, and then resume to learn the answer. The correct answers are B and D. Standard per diem rates are to be established by locality, rather than on nationwide and worldwide basis. Congress relinquished responsibility for setting the rates to the Administrator of General Services, for travel within the continental United States, and to the President or his designee, for travel outside that area. Choose all that apply. Which of these represent Congress' intent with respect to per diem allowances and travel by executive branch employees? A. Employees shall not travel to areas where the cost of living is higher than the standard rate. B. Agencies are expected to exercise diligent control over travel costs. C. Employees are not to subsidize the government's business. D. Employees shall pay for certain travel expenses out of pocket. Pause the video, consider your response, and then resume to learn the answer. The correct answers are B and C. Agencies are expected to exercise diligent control over travel costs. Employees are not to subsidize the government's business. Congratulations! You have completed this episode. Thank you for participating. The next episode in this series is episode 16.3, Proper Reducing of Per Diem.